Hey guys, Ruminating Reaper here. So I've just got done watching Hundreds of Beavers. Of course, by now you have probably heard a lot about this film and how, wild and insanely fun it is. Of course, this went down a storm back at Fantastic Fest in 2022. And here we are 2 years later. It has actually received distribution. Of course, it had like a sort of roadshow tour of showings, a proper interactive audience experience with people in beaver costumes showing up. It sounds like a lot of fun. So naturally, over here near me, it didn't really get any showings, but it did get a UK Blu-ray, which I bought, and very much awaiting the potential comic madness in store. But is this anywhere near as wildly fun as you've been hearing about? Let's find out. So the film follows Gene Kayak, an Applejack salesman who finds himself fighting for survival in a snowy woodland wilderness. He finds himself fighting up against the elements and the very violent animals that inhabit the woods. Then, one day, he develops feelings for the daughter of a local fur merchant. And so, in order to prove himself worthy of her love and her hand in marriage, he has to become the greatest fur trapper in American history as he sets out with one goal: to slay hundreds of beavers. So, yeah, look, as I said earlier, I did not get to experience this in an actual, communal setting, a cinema screen. And I gotta say, I'm genuinely bummed that it didn't really get showings near me. Because even watching this at home, this was an absolute blast. Just a wild, wild experience. I absolutely loved this film. Yeah, probably the best comedy I've seen in a long time. And yeah, I am not exaggerating when I say that this is easily the greatest thing that has ever come out of Wisconsin. I mean that. Obviously, this is, very much a slapstick comedy, very much a love letter to the likes of like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd. Very much that silent film era of slapstick comedy. There are points where there are even like title cards that appear on screen whenever there's dialogue being spoken. Yeah, it is, a unabashedly silly slapstick film full of all kinds of just mindless comic violence and easily the most beaver death you have ever seen in any film ever. Like that's a very unique selling point that I don't think you're gonna get from anything else. And of course, with its like slapstick influence, it presents itself in this very like cartoonish manner. Like, you've got these like 2D animated visuals appearing on screen. You've got like very over the top, very like cheesy looking special effects and green screens. You've got like some really solid puppet work actually for like frogs and fish and birds. And just some very over the top sequences involving these insane traps. Like, this is very much like a live action cartoon. Now, obviously, it does sort of take a bit to find its footing on this front. But honestly, about 25 minutes in, it just clicks. It just sort of begins to really enter its very silly flow and has this almost sort of video game like progression to it, where Gene is, very much getting better equipment to hone in on his beaver killing skills as he creates better traps to kill more beavers, which then, in turn he can use to buy better equipment, etc., etc. The cycle continues. In fact, there are even like little animations on screen for like beaver kill counts. Yeah, it is just an absolutely insane spectacle, and this whole like smorgasbord of influences, like silent film, like Looney Tunes, video games. It's just like the single most unique experience you could ever get, and man, I was fucking laughing hysterically throughout this. Like seriously, like proper belly laughs. There are so many funny sequences with just this mindless, over the top, slapstick comic violence. It is just the best experience I think I've ever had watching a film. It is just nuts. And surprisingly, it actually has a lot of heart to it. Like there's this sort of romantic subplot involving the growing relationship between Jean and the fur merchant's daughter, who is referred to in the film as the furrier. And there are some surprisingly tender and sweet moments between the two. There are also some of the biggest sustained laughs I think I've ever had watching a film in quite a while. That seriously, there is one particular moment between the two. You will know it when you see it. That just had me like just struggling to breathe. I was laughing so hard. This thing is just, yeah, it is an absolute just riot. And, by the time we get to the final act involving Jane breaking into the highly fortified dam which serves as the Beaver base of operations, yeah, this thing has just really fully settled into its absolutely nutty flow. Like, seriously, there are so many hilarious sequences in here. We're getting full on like beaver fight scenes, which I think actually is almost enough to rival anything in John Wick. It's amazing action choreography, never losing sight of its over the top silly comic sensibility, and there are just so many nutty gags here. Like genuinely to try and describe any of them would be to spoil the experience. Like seriously, try going into this thing as blind as possible regarding some of the gags, and man, you will have such a great experience because trust me, you are not prepared for just how out there some of these gags get. But you also get the pure primitive joy of of watching a guy beat the shit out of a bunch of guys in beaver mascot costumes. It's just it is, yeah, an absolutely balls to the wall barmy experience that, yeah, do not take my word for it. You absolutely have to give this film a watch. Seriously, it is just so much fun. Yeah, whoever said that we don't get original movies anymore, like seriously, show them this and they will instantly change their tune. And yeah, overall, Hundreds of Beavers. Yeah, out of 10, I'm going to give this a 9. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. Have you seen Hundreds of Beavers? What did you think of it? Did you actually get to see it in a proper cinema screening? If so, let me know what the audience experience there was like. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.